morning, Cadre. Barber Dave here with Dave's Barbershop at Home. Called a little bit of an audible today, so we're taking a small break, just one day, on the Barbershop Challenge. It's because Ken and UA Cowboy and I think one other person shaved with TABAC. And I'm a TABAC fan, so I was jonesing and decided to do a TABAC shave. So it's all TABAC today. I am going to be using a Tnnser 3D, which is very similar to a gem. It does have a gem PTFE blade in it, so that'll be interesting. It's been a while since I've used a gem. We're going to be using the TABAC shave soap, followed by the aftershave and cologne, and then using what surprisingly is probably one of the best brushes I have, and it just so happens to match the color of TABAC. And this is a Sorrentino Luca Brasi with a 2-band silver tip. Also top. Some interesting notes about TABAC, because there's three fragrances that I think are probably the most polarizing in the shaving world. We all know one of them, Pinaud's Lilac Vegetal. The other would be Euchris by Joe F. Trumpers, and then, of course, TABAC. The first two, there's a wide range of what people's olfactory senses smell, whether they be cat urine and cat litter boxes. Euchris people associate with death, and TABAC with old ladies and purses and smoking. Well, the interesting thing about all three of those, and one very popular aftershave and cologne that we'll talk about in a minute, is that they are really orientals. You know, fragrances are classified into aquatic, woody, and so forth. These are orientals. Now, orientals were very, very popular in the late 19th and 20th centuries because they're, believe it or not, the unisex type of fragrances have been around a long time. But speaking of TABAC specifically, let's go over the notes and why you may smell, or your olfactory gets that tobacco note. It's along the same lines as how one's olfactory thinks that cilantro, the plant, either tastes like pepper, soap, or bleach. It just depends on how your nose chemistry is. So the notes for TABAC are pepper. These are the top notes, so the first ones you feel. Pepper, petitgrain, citrus, and neroli. Most people like those. Then the heart notes go to lavender, chamomile, which is a type of chamomile, geranium, oak moss, and coumarin. Now, it used to be a stuff called moscus, which was a deer scent that was produced by the deer musk gland. So that's part of it. And then the big one, where you get the smoke, is the mixture between the coumarin, carnation, sandalwood, vetiver, and ambergris. Now, ambergris, as we all know, whether you like it or not, is produced by the digestive system of a sperm whale. Very expensive, but it's a very waxy substance. Now, a lot of animal-type secretions, for lack of a better term, go into perfume oils. So go figure. So that could be part of the reason why people get the tobacco-ness. Now, the chamomile has, the coumarin has been used for the tobacco flower and so forth. So here's the interesting part. This is one of the few, if not the only, men's grooming line that has been in production since 1959 in the exact original formula, except for things that have become banned, like the moscus. The moscus has been banned because of the deer population, I guess, in Europe. It's been made by Maurenwerth in Germany since 1959. They have not changed the formula that much, and it's been in consistent use and very popular in Germany and then through Europe. So it's one of the few that hasn't sold out to one of the big conglomerates, because even the ones that we like, let's use Old Spice, and this is the one that's going to blow you away. Schulten owned them for a long time, and now they're owned by some big conglomerate, and the scent of Old Spice has changed. It's not as good as the original, whereas TABAC is the same. It's always been the same. So let's go back to the earlier 20th century. Florals, or orientals, were very, very popular. Now, this was Germany's answer to Old Spice, because it wanted to bust into the American market. And the big thing was Old Spice. Now, believe it or not, Old Spice is an oriental fragrance. And get ready for it, guys, for those that like Old Spice. Old Spice was originally a feminine perfume. It was actually marketed to women, and it was for women. It was not considered a unisex. It was a woman's fragrance. It was adopted by men, changed here and there. So That's the funny thing. Tobacco was originally meant to be masculine. And it's kind of funny how that works. A lot of people think of tobacco as feminine and Old Spice as masculine. Exact opposite. Tobacco was always supposed to be masculine, and our Old Spice was a feminine perfume. So thought you'd think that those are kind of interesting little fun facts for that, and for the olfactory depraved that don't like tobacco. Now the thing is with tobacco, as we all know, you either love it or you hate it. There's not really a middle ground here. But the one thing that nobody will argue with is how good the soap performs. It's a wonderful, wonderful soap. Lather's easy, loads easy, and what I have seen is some people that may or may not like tobacco in its initial stages. As they get older, and maybe that's part of it, the florals come out. So if you like Oriental as far as a fragrance category, you should like tobacco, because Orientals are very fragrant. They were first designed by some of the big, major perfume houses in both Europe and England, Germany, so forth, because of the fascination of the Orient in the late 19th and 20th century. It had that mysterious, exotic feel to it. And so that's where it all came out of. If you were to draw the comparison, as I said earlier, tobacco is to Old Spice in Germany. What I should say, tobacco is the Old Spice of Germany. Very popular still. They have a complete men's grooming line. And Ken made a good point to state that there is subtle differences in each of the products as far as scent is concerned. And a lot of that is just simply because of chemical makeup. But it's a wonderful feeling soap on the face. Definitely a top tier soap, especially for one that's in large manufacture. There is rumor, I don't know how true it is, that some of the fine soaps are actually produced by Mauer and Worst. I've never seen any substantiation to that, but it's just a wonderful, wonderful soap. And so maybe knowing the properties of it and how it is set up, maybe that'll change some minds. Once you actually dig in and let the notes come out. Okay, this is the Tnnser. Like I said, I've got a brand new gem PTFE blade. Never used it before. We'll see what happens. Not bad. Very much lighter than a gem. And I've always had issues with the gem getting the angles correct. But this is pretty intuitive. The handle is very nice. And it does allow you to pivot in your hand very well. I did have a little bit of trouble loading it. Because the burring needed to be sanded down a little bit. Very nice. Very surprised. I wasn't sure how well that was going to go. First pass is real nice. And the slickness, like I said, the slickness of tobacco is just phenomenal, performance-wise. And the scent does linger. It's light, not really heavy, but I don't get the old lady purse or tobacco. I joke about it just like everybody else does, but to me, it's just a wonderful oriental, floral, very floral. And I think that's where a lot of people get tripped up, is the floral notes, the carnation especially. The carnation is very forward, but really the carnation and the coumarin, I think, are what gives it that unique flavor. Whereas Old Spice, as I said, was a female perfume, and then the popularity of it for men caused them to add some deeper woody notes on the top and middle. But they're both Old Spice, which is an American classic, like, you know, like Aqua Velva, share, believe it or not, many of the fragrances and fragrance notes that TABAC does. There are many online resources on how fragrances are categorized. The biggest one being the fragrance wheel, where you can see how these soaps are categorized into orientals, aquatics, bases, and so forth. And you can download those as well. The Tnnser, aggressive for sure, which is nice. You do get a lot of blade feel. However, for a 3D printed razor, not to upset the gem folks, but I think the handle is easier to maneuver. The face feel is fantastic, although aggressive, but it's fantastic. I had shied away from gems just simply because I couldn't get angles correct, and you know, of course, I straight shave most of the time. But this one is a little bit of a game changer for me because it's so easy. Like I said, the biggest negative was the loading of the blade. But you are able to maintain even pressure with this. And I think a lot of that is in large part to the way that the handle is conceived. I do notice that you do have to be a little bit more careful on your angular, your angle of attack, because with this blade and the angle that you need to be at, you can put it into a kind of a precarious angle and cut yourself like you can with most gems, I think. But as long as you maintain right angles as best you can, it's fantastic. And the handle is just, it's conducive to keep the right pressure on the blade, or excuse me, on the face. And the biggest issue, like any gem, is getting it up into the nose area, but you can angle it a little bit. Okay, let's see how we did. Great shape. I would use this with, I'd use this on a regular basis. Even though it's a different style razor, if I had the choice, I would probably use this before I would use the Occam, to be quite frank with you. And for a 3D razor, it's amazing. So the Tnnser, highly recommended. If you know anybody that that does 3D printing, definitely recommend it. Great razor. It is aggressive. I can feel the aggressiveness of it. And so I'm sure I'll get lit up a little bit, but a lot of that's my fault because of, you know, being the first usage of that razor, not really knowing the pressures and so forth. But as far as tobacco is concerned, those of you that don't like it, give it another, you know, with this newly found information, maybe that'll change it a little bit. Maybe not. But either way, I mean, it's been around since 1959. The popularity of it on a worldwide basis is phenomenal. Actually, not lit up as much as I thought I would be. Spoke yesterday about some announcements. On the personal side, I will be making an announcement probably Friday or Saturday. That for some will be exciting, for others it'll be like, oh great, good job. Also, I'll be trying down the road a little bit another DE razor, a 3-piece DE razor that Kyle printed for me as well, so we'll try that. We will use some talc today. I guess Tabac does make a talc, I think, but I'm not aware of where you can get it, so I'll just use the Menon talc. It's about the most neutral talc I've got, because I don't want to cover up the wondrous flavors of Tabac. And it does have a little bit of an old school barbershop vibe, you know, the European barbershop vibes, but it's not a barbershop scent. It's specifically an Oriental. And it goes along the same lines as Eucharis, the veg to some small, but Hammam, Blenheim Bouquet, all of these were Orientals because, like I said, of the fascination that we had with the Orient in the late 18th, 19th, and 20th centuries. Very Victorian and so forth. So, powder's done. We'll dab on some cologne, once again in the big bowling pin. And that's one thing also with Tabac, is their packaging has not changed much at all. It is still in glass, and it's wonderful stuff. It really is. Okay, that's our kind of our hiatus from the Barbershop Shave today. We certainly appreciate you coming along, and as always, thank you for being members of theshavingcadre.com. If you haven't been there, www.theshavingcadre.com. Some other big announcements will probably happen this weekend. No promises. We're still doing some finalization, but mine will probably come Friday or Saturday. So stay tuned for tomorrow. We're back tomorrow with Lisa's natural soaps, her barbershop, and it was our 2nd anniversary soap that came in the kit. So once again, Barber Dave with Barber Dave's Barbershop at Home. Have a great day.